this may be too beautiful a wig to review RuPaul's Drag Race. Hey! Hi, dolls! It's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 5. Now, here's the thing. I know I'm behind on my UK reviews. Life has been a bit demanding lately, but it ends today. At the risk of, well, glossing over trite moments, I am going to review episodes 4, 5, and 6 here and now. No costume changes. I hope you like this hair, because I'm wearing the hell of it. And thanks to David Burkett, who actually sent it to me from Wig Chapel. Hi, David. So, get comfy. I hope you have snacks. Oh, we'll defo need a bevy. Jorge! Teamy! Oh, what is this gorgeous mug? Oh, this is Aunt B's fabulous mug. She sent me this. Aunt B does my nails. I'm not wearing nails today. I apologize, Aunt B. I was going to wear some of your nails, but quite frankly, I just wasn't up to it. It was a lot. This wig just took it out of me, I'll tell you what. But thank you for the tea, Jorge. Hot and steamy. Remind you of anyone? Oh, and very quickly, but with no less gratitude, I also want to thank my Tipperdoo this week, Cancel Culture, whom I chat with on the tubes. Hey, Cancel! As per our convo, Fingerdoos crossed, we see a few of these stars sparkle over the next few episodes. Seriously. Finally, I want to send a shout out to John Pinniger. Or is it Pinegar? John, sorry, I apologize for the mispronunciation. Anyway, John wanted me to send him a shout out for Christmas. So I decided to do it right away because, well, as we get closer to the season, the hoopla descends. You know what I'm saying. So, hey, John. Mwah. Okay, is everyone sitting comfortably? Then let's start this party. Seeing as nobody went home last week, the queens congratulated Cara not only on her first win of the season, but for being the first queen on Drag Race UK to win the girl group challenge. Solo. Tamara asked if any of the queens were worried about being the next to sashay away, and then looked straight at Kate Butch. Right at her. What crust. And Tamara wasn't the only one wanting to pack Kate's bags. Not like that, not like that. Michael Maruli thought that even with Miss Naomi Carter's bum knee, Kate was the weakest queen in the group. Even I wasn't overly impressed by Miss Butch on her first day, but I have to admit, Catherine's been impressing me more each week. Just me? Kate Butch wasn't bothered. She told the other queens they were underestimating her. And then they laughed. No, seriously, the other queens laughed in Kate's face. Rude. The next day, Ru surprised the queens with a mini challenge. They were auditioning to be the face of a new protein drink called SPNK. Apparently, its main ingredient is nut milk, which was also my drag king name in high school. Speaking of nut milk, Raven showed up in 80s rocker chick drag. Of course she did. Apparently, she was going to be taking the ad campaign photos, which apparently was news to her. The queens had 20 minutes to get into DTF bro drag. Ru's words, not mine. I'd tell you what DTF means, but I don't want to lose my monetization. Well, not again. Speaking of quick drag, I did a 15-minute quick drag challenge. The link is up here if you want to see how I did. And then it was lights, camera, action. This was a fun mini challenge. Everyone looked like a total idiot in the best way possible. Actually, I thought Michael Maruli looked pretty good. She certainly gave the pit crew a run for their money. On all fours. I still have no idea what Miss Naomi Carter said, bless, and I don't think DT Licious ever looked more masculine. Well, and then this happened. What is it with her and wigs? Ginger surprised many by apparently giving her good side a name. I thought it was her lunch order. And I just couldn't get past Kate Butch looking like Don Juan Diego from Jingle Jangle. Just me? And you gotta give it to Caramel. I would have gone through the humiliation of boy drag too for the chance to straddle Kalichi there. Do you follow Kalichi on the Instagrams? I do. I'll leave his link down below. Shut it. Tamara Thomas seemed to be having some kind of allergic reaction to the product. Or she was just happy to see me. Either way, there was swelling. I couldn't tell if Vicky Vivacious looked more like Anne Murray or Doug Henning. Either way, they're both Canadian, and don't you dare say who. And even though Vicky tried to sway the vote in her direction with a little skin, the winner of the mini challenge and the new SPNK spokesmodel was Tamara Thomas. Or is that spokescrotch? And then it was Maxi Challenge time. Inspired by Ru's masterclass, the queens would be working in 3 teams of 3 to share their life experiences in a seminar called Ru's Disaster Class. Because she won the mini challenge, Tamara not only got to pick her team, she also got to pick everyone else's team. Cue Kara's unhappy face. There it is. Because she's not stupid, Tamara picked Ginger and Michael for herself, much to Kara's increasing chagrin, which was also the name of my fringe play. Tamara's team's topic was party, drag lessons on making friends and influencing people. That needs a seminar? Miss Naomi Carter, Dee Delicious, and Kate Butch got work as their topic, drag lessons on managing your career and life. Okay. Banksy, Vicky, and Kara's topic was love. Drag lessons on romance and relationships. As the queens got to it, Kara's mood seemed to brighten when Vicky pointed out that everyone on their team had a Ru Peter badge. Guess it's hard to feel like a loser when you're on a team of winners. Tamara had no idea she'd done that. She just split the rest of the queens up where they stood, like you do. Team Winner's topic was love, and at first glance seemed easy enough, but then Cara threw her spanner in the works by saying she's never been in love. Actually, what she said was she's never been in love with anyone but herself. Hey, you gotta start somewhere. Banksy's 3-year relationship with her partner, who is a proud trans woman, gave their group more fodder for discussion, but Vicky wasn't completely jiving with the direction her group was going in. Not that she said anything to anyone. Over on Teamwork, the big issue was who was good at talking to an audience. The only weak link seemed to be Miss Naomi Carter, who admitted to getting tongue-tied. Oh, that's not an accent? Of course, Ru popped by to check on the queens, and her first visit was with Team Party. Apparently, Geordie girls are so friendly, they'll hold your hair back while you're yakking into toilet. I just take mine off. Team Love, aka the winners, were next. The diversity of their experiences in love seemed to intrigue Ru, but because the subject of love can get heavy quickly, Ru wanted the winners to keep it light. Teamwork's topic should have been, what the hell is Naomi saying? But once Miss Carter explained what I up meant, it was smoother sailing. As for the subject of work, it appeared that Kate Butch drinking 4 cocktails in 3 hours was a cry for help. Yeah, where's the waiter? Seriously, is 4 drinks in 3 hours a lot? Well, move over, Kate. It looks like I'll be keeping you company in rehab, my darling. As the queens were working out their finer points to their master classes, the pressure of the situation must have been too much for our Caramel. The poor thing couldn't contain herself any longer and had to ask Tamara why she picked who she picked, which, as we all know, is Cara talk for, why didn't you pick me? Tamara, you in danger, girl. While the queens got ready for their disaster classes, Banksy talked to Vicky about her relationship. It was an eye-opener for Banksy when her girlfriend came out as trans 6 months into their relationship. Of course, it brought all kinds of questions up for Banksy. Is she still gay? Is she no longer attracted to men? Not to mention the questions she got from friends and family. At the end of the day, Banksy discovered that it's the personality she loves. Personally, I love that Banksy summed it all up to, I'm not changing, I'm evolving. Here's to evolution. Well done, Banksy. And then it was time for the main stage. Ru looks stunning this week. I just love this dress on her. Michelle was serving us 80s techno-pop realness, while the delicious Alan Carr was his typical, sullen, serious self. Not! And joining the judges this week was actress Saran Jones. Up first, the disaster classes, and kicking things off was Teamwork. And all I have to say is, where the hell were Naomi's eyelashes? Seriously, I was so distracted by that I barely noticed her Nona Hendrix and LaBelle space shoulders, which is also why I didn't notice her rambling on about getting paid until she'd actually rambled on. But she ended strong with her acronym. In Britain, charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent is spelled T-W-A-T. It's true. And did anyone else notice Dee Dee's near wardrobe malfunction, or do we think she was trying to keep the audience awake during Naomi's ramble? Oh! Speaking of Dee Dee, not only did she look gorgeous in her 80s power do, and yes, I'm talking about her chest, but Dee Dee also imparted some powerful advice and was a hoot while doing it. Well done, Dee Dee, seriously. Speaking of hoots, Kate Butch was in her element in this challenge. She was clever, she was funny, she actually did look like she'd lost her makeup skills in a fire, her words, not mine. Come on, that nose contour, it tells you how much Michelle Visage hates Dee Dee's contour that she said nothing to Kate yet, seriously. I'd also like to make mention of Naomi Carter's most recent addition to the RuPaul's Drag Race Dictionary with the word unprofessional. It will live in infamy alongside such other noteworthy additions as Michelle Visage's eloquent. Cheers to Miss Carter, seriously. Team play was next, and sweet beats did they smash this. Tamara Thomas' story about going out with 20 quid and coming home with 200 and the clap was worth a repeater badge right there. And the three of them declaring coats are for what? Shoplifting is sweeping the socials as we speak. Seriously, I thought coats were coats. To be fair, everyone sparkled on this team. They couldn't have been more prepared. Ginger's use of Tamara to point out what not to wear for a Geordie night out was hilarious. And Michael's hosting skills kept things funny and moving along. All I can say is I'm a Geordie girl and I'd hate to be the ones to follow them. Oh, which brings us to Team Love. Okay, right away, I thought Banksy was strong out of the gate. Who'd have thought that was their peak? And then there was that thing about love is blind and so is she, and well, Vicky told her to take her sunglasses off, yada, yada, yada. And then the only positive thing I can say is that Banksy's makeup was gorgeous. Her going blank and not knowing what to say within the first few minutes was not. Vicky was not impressed, and rightly so. If this was how her team was going to start their disaster class, how are they going to finish? What's next after disaster? Catastrophe? Seriously. But I think what really put the final nail in this team's love coffin was Vicky calling Caramel Banksy. I like to say that Cara took it well, but then I'd also like $1 million. To be honest, I have no idea what the hell went on after that. I think I blocked it out of kindness. I do remember Banksy slapping everyone with a fish and, well, Cara frantically eating chocolates and crying. Does that mean her relationship with herself is over? And then, thankfully, it was time for the runway. Category is Slaycation. Dee Dee's beach body ready, MILF complete with baby was first, and I totally loved it. She got a Fingerdoo out of me because it was gorgeous. I'm not sure what Kate Butch was thinking, but this costume was beyond boring. It looked like she'd blown her wad making those flipper heels. I said flipper heels. All in all, I was just underwhelmed, so I gave her a flipper don't. I mean finger don't. Ms. Naomi Carter's neon après ski ensemble was lovely. I wouldn't agree with her that the outfit was rhinestone to death, but it did sparkle, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Oh, and look, she found some lashes. Little wispy ones. Tamara's après-ski ensemble put Naomi Carter's to shame. My only complaint was that the furry bikini bottom was a little too furry. I think she could have trimmed that up and made it look less diaper-like, but still, those are some nice slopes. Michael Maruli's living postcard was genius. This runway put all the others to shame. Even the back of it was hilarious. Fingerdoo for Ms. Maruli. Now, I'm not sure where Ginger was going for her slaycation, but I have a feeling they haven't built it yet. As much fun as this outfit was, I feel like she tried to make something she already had work for this category. And then I heard her explanation for it. She'd made it 2 hours before leaving for Drag Race. There's no excuses in Drag Race. I still gave her a finger don't. I did not like Vicky's Western getup. I thought that boxy jacket was a cover-up, but no, that was the look. A boxy jacket with those sad, droopy chaps. So I gave her a finger don't. Caramel looked gorgeous, but hers was another outfit whose destination seemed outside the world of possibilities. Not that I didn't want to visit her there, still, giving her a Fingerdoo because, well, damn. Speaking of damn, Banksy's après-ski bikini onesie firstravaganza was another Fingerdoo for me, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, seriously, it was stunning. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. Unsurprisingly, Team Play was this week's challenge winner, giving Tamara, Ginger, and Michael their first repeater badges of the season. As for the rest of the queens, all the judges loved Kate Butch, although Ru did say there was a blonde wig for everyone, and this wasn't hers. Good for Ru. And landing in the bottom, sadly, was Ms. Naomi Carter, probably because she said she was wearing demi-lashes during the challenge. Demi-lashes? She might as well have just worn mascara, seriously. And who was joining the demi-lash queen in the bottom? Well, Vicky Vivacious must have been worried because she threw Banksy under the bus for her hosting efforts. And Cara did nothing to change the judges' minds. Of course, this tension spilled over into the workroom as Team Love showed no love between themselves. Things got so heated as they tried to assign blame that Banksy just left the room. But she was back in record time to make amends. Come on, she knew she was safe this week. Back on the main stage, all the tension and finger pointing at Banksy was for naught because joining Miss Carter in the bottom this week was Caramel. Gasp. They had to lip sync to The Only Way Is Up by Yaz. I have to admit that I was expecting more from both these queens. But if I was going to pick one to win, I'd have to say Caramel, mostly because that outfit was just too good. Ru must have thought so too, because when the music died, she announced that it was Caramel who shantaed, and sadly, it was Ms. Naomi Carter who sashayed away. Oh. Which brings us to episode 5. While the queens were saying goodbye to Miss Carter, whose handwriting was as hard to understand as her accent, Caramel got all dramatique over how she felt being in the bottom. It wasn't good. In fact, Cara still didn't know how she landed in the bottom in the first place, so Ginger reminded Cara that she, and I quote, absolutely bombed the challenge. Talk about a face crack. Cara could give Jan a run for the money with this look. The next day in the workroom, the Northern Queens of Team Play had a bit of a gloat showing off their newly acquired repeater badges. That was until Ru showed up with a mini challenge, and not just any mini challenge. Ru was opening up the library because reading is what? Fundamental. And can I just point out how smart Ginger was to start writing hateful things about the other queens from day one, as opposed to just thinking them like the rest of us? Banksy went first and started the mini challenge off strong by reading Dee Deported to filth and telling the room that Vicky had a soggy bottom on her pastry. Yeah, that's it, pastry. Dee Deplorable was next, and, well, she wasn't as deplorable as I was expecting. Don't get me wrong, she sucked, but my ears didn't pop. Michael Maruli took an easy route and read Dee disgusting to filth as well, then took a swing at Kate Botched by saying she was so ugly as a baby she had tinted windows on her incubator. As expected, Ginger Johnson took no prisoners. Her pointing out Banksy spells her name with an I-E as opposed to a Y led to a few questions, i.e., why was she still here? Fabulous. What Tamara Thomas lacked in humor, she made up for in volume, which unfortunately didn't hide the fact that she forgot what she was going to say, bless. Vicky gave it a good try. She failed, but she gave it a good try. Speaking of fails, at least Caramel thinks she's funny. Finally, it was Catherine Butch's turn. She took no prisoners. All the queens got read to filth. Kate's best read was Ms. Naomi Carter, as in, does anyone miss Naomi Carter? Needless to say, when Ru had closed the library officially, the winner was Catherine Butch. And then Ru announced this week's Maxi Challenge, the Rusical. And there was great rejoicing. In the tradition of British pantomime theatre, the Rusical was called Pant-oh, She Better Don't, live. As the mini challenge winner, Kate got to pick her role first and then let the other queens cage match fight for it. Is that a thing, cage match fighting? After the queens gave the script a listen and a read, Kate Butch grabbed the narrator, Twinkerbell, because, well, it was the biggest part and the most stage time, and Miss Butch was hoping it would give her her first repeater badge. Hope springs eternal. There were a few contentious moments during the casting when more than one queen wanted a role, but in the end, Michael got Dick. Don't like that. Dick was the gender-bending hero in thigh-high boots. Dame Muffin Top, a comedic rapper, went to Dee Dee. The innocent and overlooked milkmaid went to Vicky Vivacious. The comedic villain Butterface went to Banksy. Daisy, a role with a lot of singing, went to Ginger Johnson. And Tamara and Cara got the dancing roles of Dee Dee and Lisa, a pair of pop stars from yesteryear. I think that's code for the steps, isn't it? With that done, it was off to rehearse their vocals with Michelle Visage and musical director Dane Chalfin. Once again, Catherine Butch surprised everyone but me by nailing her rehearsal of Twinkerbell. If the other queens were underestimating Miss Butch before, they certainly weren't now. Seriously. The one good thing I'll say about Dee Dee's rehearsal is she didn't lie. She can't sing. But this is Pant-oh. Being able to sing isn't a requirement. Still, this reaction and this look good. Someone who got a great reaction from the queens was Banksy. Her evil protagonist rock number had a couple of the queens rocking out. Okay, just the ones who weren't jealous. One of the queens who was worrisome right out of the gate was Tamara Johnson, or should I say it was her Elvis impersonation. Seriously, what the hell was that? Michael's Dick and Vicky's Cornish Milkmaid, you heard me. We're up next. They had a duet in the Pant-oh that contained harmonies. Thankfully, so did they. Though, whether they were the same harmonies was still yet to be determined, if you ask me. Key, pitch, it was all dots and dashes to these two, which surprised me. Didn't Vicky say she performed in the West End? Did she not mean London? Ginger's bovine solo was next, and in the words of Michelle Visage, she delivered the poop out of that number. Okay, she didn't say poop. I cleaned it up a little. She's such a potty mouth. Which is ironic because, well, she was talking about shit. What? The best part of this rehearsal, though, was Caramel's face. She was throwing all kinds of side-eye at the acts that she felt did better than her. So not Dee Dee. And then it was off to rehearse with Strictly Come Dancing star Karen Hauer, who was an absolute delight. I can see why Catherine Butch is in love with her, seriously. And then, horror of horrors, all I could do was clutch my pearls as Dee Dee dropped the bomb that she'd never seen a musical in her life. At least not one on stage, at any rate. This news had the queens reeling. I think Karen said it best when she just told Dee Dee to get out. Seriously. Sadly, she didn't. Tamara and Cara crushed it. Of course they did. Poor Banksy struggled to get her legs to listen to the rest of her body, but in her defense, those are some long legs to wrangle. Seriously. Ginger did well as well, much to Caramel's chagrin. Shocker. Karen got hands-on with Michael and Vicky's rehearsal. Hands-on, or should I say sat-on? And then it was time for the runway. Rue looked gorgeous, in a Joey Heatherton kind of way. Don't you dare say who. Michelle looked gorgeous, as did our Graham Norton. And joining this week was actress Crush Jumbo. Up first, Pant-oh, She Better Don't. I enjoyed this musical, not because it was well written or the songs were all catchy, although it was and they were. I enjoyed this musical because the queens performed the hell out of it. Catherine Butch was the perfect narrator. She was cute as buttons, funny as hell, and moved things along beautifully. Michael Maruli was an excellent Dick, and I mean that in the best way possible. Whether on the hunt for her pussy or falling for Vicky's milkmaid, Michael killed it. Dee Dee's muffin top was larger than life and overacted for the gods, which is how it should be. But Ginger Johnson absolutely stopped the show with her lamenting solo. She had me right from the moment she stopped herself leaving the stage to her last lowing moo. I was enthralled. Plus, I want that wig. Seriously. If I were going to call any of the queens less impressive, I'd pick Tamara and Cara. Not that they did a bad job, but possibly because they were a duet, I felt it lessened their impact. I'm also going to say that I was disappointed with Banksy's Butterface. Again, not that she did a bad job, but it was as if she was letting the costume and makeup do all the acting. As I said, I like this musical, so here's to everybody. Seriously. And then it was time for the runway. Category is Mirror, Mirror, and no one worked that mirror better than Ms. Caramel and her signature chin down sexy face. And yes, chin down sexy face was the name of my fringe play. Miss Mel's barely there Art Deco bikini was everything. Unfortunately, that white bikini bottom was not. I know that Kara said that this was made for Beyonce, but I'd like to think that even she'd have paid the extra $5 for the silver ginch. Still, Fingerdoo for Kara Mel. I just love Dee Dee's Bloody Mary, and even though this was some extreme makeup, I think this is the best Dee Dee's makeup's looked all season. Seriously, look how soft her nose and face contours are. And those faint little cracks she painted on her face were fabulous. The costume, on the other hand, looked a little Party City-ish during a fire sale. But that mirrored collar was fabulous, so I gave her a Fingerdoo too. Speaking of makeup, Vicky was another one who was beat for the gods, but for the love of God, I did not get this biker chick look. Okay, the helmet and the jacket at least smacked of a Vespa, but what the hell was going on with that skirt? It didn't make sense to me. Still, she was covered in mirrors, so I gave her a Fingerdoo as well. The minute Banksy rounded the corner, I gave her a Fingerdoo. I love this outfit. It may not have been covered in actual mirrors or a solid silver like Caramel's, but this holographic fabric combined with that silhouette, well, I had no words. It was art. It was fashion. It was totally worthy of a Fingerdoo. Pay attention, Vicky. That's how you exaggerate a hip. I'm still not sure why that skirt was backless, though. Unless she borrowed it from Tamara. Oh! Speaking of Tamara, Terry Mugler wishes this Metropolis-inspired outfit was stunning, and so was she. Fingerdoo for Tamara. I hated Catherine Butcher's runway until she ditched that cover-up. I get it. It was supposed to look like actual full-length mirrors. Well, those mirrors look cheap. Thank goodness she ditched it to show off that little New Year's Eve party number underneath. I thought this was gorgeous and was very happy to give Kate a Fingerdoo as well. Seriously. The minute Ginger Johnson rounded that corner, I gagged on her Schiaparelli eleganza. I'm actually impressed that she knows who Schiaparelli is. Now, to be fair, the original design was gold, not holographic, so it looked more like a mirror than Ginger's, but this metallic works so well with the purple, I totally overlooked it. And can we all take a moment to admire Ginger's makeup? Seriously, Fingerdoo for Ms. Johnson if you're nasty. I love Michael Maruli's runway, but then when have I not? Seriously, this queen has killed it all season, and this dress was no exception. This is high drag at its best, Fingerdoo for Ms. Maruli. And then Rue gave Kara and Tamara the bad news. They were safe this week and frigged off to the workroom. As for the rest of the queens, Dee Dee's runway was a hit, but the judges felt that she was too timid on stage. Vicky was a crowd pleaser all around. From catwalk to center stage, she ticked all the judges' boxes. Banksy's performance, on the other hand, was, well, a bit disappointing, especially when Michelle said she'd done so much better in rehearsal. Of course, everyone gushed all over Kate Butch's Twinkerbell, as well they should, but Graham wished she'd ditched the cape earlier, like backstage. Okay, so here's the deal. My camera hates me, Jesus hates me, somebody hates me, and they don't want me to finish my review of RuPaul's Drag Race UK because my camera froze. I don't know why. It's a digital 4K webcam. It shouldn't freeze, but it did. And so for the next, I don't know, episode, you're just going to see me in the side-eye cam, and I apologize greatly. Also, I apologize for the flicker on the side-eye cam. I have also been spending time trying to fix that to no avail. Someone hates me! Seriously! As expected, Ginger's performance as the back end of the cow stole the show. The judges were utterly enthralled and moved. Clearly, the cream had risen. I'm sorry. That's the last one, seriously. As for Michael Maruli, everyone loved her dick, almost as much as they liked her runway, and they were gagging over that. It was a good night to be Ms. Maruli, is all I'm saying. Back in the workroom, Vicky was so pleased with her critique that she felt it was her in the top this week. Her and Michael Maruli. Kate Butch couldn't have agreed with her more. Or at all, actually. Clearly, she thought Vicky was having a psychotic break, and so did RuPaul, because back on the main stage, she announced that this week's winner was, much to Vicky's chagrin, Ginger Johnson. Ginger was so moved she had a wardrobe malfunction and her arm popped out. That makes Ginger this season's first queen to win 2 RuPeter badges. Here's to Ginger, seriously. Landing in the bottom this week were, no surprise to them, Dee Dee and Banksy. They had to lip sync to Susan Boyle's I Dreamed a Dream, and right away I was worried for Dee Dee. She wouldn't be able to rely on her cute little pussycat doll dance moves with a song like this. But ironically, her runway look helped to sell the performance in this song. She was dramatic and tragic and completely captivating. Not that Banksy did a bad job, quite the opposite. It's just that she was completely upstaged by Dee Dee, so it was no surprise to me that when the music died, Ru announced that Dee Dee shantaed, and shockingly and sadly. Oh, this one hurt. It was Banksy who sashayed away. Actually, she strutted away down that catwalk one more time. Here's to Banksy. I don't know what bothers me more, the fact that we're not going to get any more Banksy this season, or that Dee Dee Licious is quietly becoming this season's lip sync assassin. Seriously, the horror. Which brings us to episode 6, is that right? 6? We're in the home stretch now. So, this episode kicked off with the other queens congratulating Ginger on her second repeater badge. Second! You can tell from the cool compliments that none of the other queens were expecting Ginger to be the first queen with 2 badges. Or any, in some cases. Caramel! For those of you keeping count, that means that Catherine, Butch, and Dee Dee Licious are the only 2 queens left without a repeater badge. Thankfully, the other queens were patient and kind where Dee Dee and Kate were concerned. Yeah, in the theater of my mind. Actually, before the badge winners could do much more gloating, Ru showed up with this week's Maxi Challenge, Snatch Game! And once again, there was great rejoicing. Although, I thought there was noticeably less rejoicing as Ru visited with the queens. Vicky was going to do legendary TV chef, food critic, and hateful old cuss who had no trouble telling anyone what she thought, Fanny Craddock. I thought such a negative Nancy would be a hoot to do on Snatch Game, but then Ginger did point out that those personalities usually don't work well with others. And, let's face it, Vicky hasn't been a laugh riot this season, I'm so serious. I thought Ginger was very clever by choosing Barbara Cartland, not just because Ru was a fan, but also Barbara's a celebrity that not a lot of people are overly familiar with, mostly because her fans are dead, like her. So she would be able to act however she liked. Plus, at the height of Barbara Cartland's fame, she was really quite old. And if we've learned anything from season 1 Ru Girl and winner of Drag Race UK versus the World, Blue Hydrangea, it's that old people on Snatch Game are a hoot, unless you're Charlie Hides. In classic RuPaul fashion, Ms. Charles tried to plant the seeds of change in Tamara Thomas's Snatch Game by getting her to ditch her Mrs. Doubtfire for, well, anyone famous with a southern accent. And damn it, if Tamara's accent wasn't hilarious. Damn you, Ru. Cara was another one who worried me, not because she picked Dionne Warwick, one of RuPaul's favorite singers, but because when Ru asked what some of Cara's favorite Dionne Warwick songs were, all she could name was That's What Friends Are For. No Walk On By, no Then Came Love, no I'll Never Fall in Love Again. So, Cara, I'm gonna say a little prayer for you, girl. You see what I did there? It's funny because it's a Dionne Warwick. I was so excited to see Catherine's Kate Bush. To be honest, I would have been excited to see Catherine impersonate anyone. She has been nothing but quick, clever, and funny since she first walked into that workroom, and something was telling me this was going to be a good week for her. Michael Maruli's choice was Catherine Tate as her character Bernie, the dirty Irish nurse. I know that sounds racist. I agree with Ru. It's hard to impersonate a comedian. You really have to be familiar with the material enough to banter freely without breaking character, but if anyone could do that, I'd say Michael Maruli was a good candidate. And then it was time for the Snatch Game with celebrity contestants, legendary TV presenter and maths whiz Carol Volderman, and X Factor winner and chart-topping singer Alexandra Burke. I have to say, I like the Snatch Game. Even the queens who didn't do well weren't the worst, like Dee Dee. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Even though I hate those Real Housewives shows, I thought Caramel acted more like Nene Leakes than Dionne Warwick. Where was the gravelly voice and the dulcet tones? Where were the cheekbones? Seriously. I thought Tamara Thomas looked more like Orville Redenbacher than Mrs. Doubtfire. Thank goodness she seemed to forget who she was too. Not unlike the real Robin Williams, Tamara stole the show by jumping between voices and accents. You'd think she was auditioning for Exorcist, the Rusical. Ooh, that's a good idea. Get her on the phone. Dee Dee's Lady C was actually way better than I thought it was going to be, but then I wasn't expecting much. She was too one-note, or dare I say bland. Speaking of not much, poor Vicky Vivacious. Try as she might, she just couldn't get any of her fanny jokes to hit the spot. I could actually feel her praying for the whole ordeal to end every time Ru called on her for an answer. Seriously. I thought Michael Maruli killed it as Nurse Bernie, and then she knocked it out of the park when she followed in the footsteps of Chad, Michael, and Bob, the drag queen, by switching characters mid-snatch. Suddenly, Catherine Tate's Derek Faye was sitting in Nurse Bernie's seat. How very dare she? All in all, I did not hate that snatch game. Well done. Well, most of you. Seriously. And then it was time for the runway. I think this is the best Rouge look this season, and I'm not saying that because she's wearing red hair, but it certainly helps. I have to give her a Fingerdoo for this dress, too. It has to be one of my favorites. Speaking of favorites, Madonna's stalker Michelle Visage was serving up 65th Annual Grammy Awards realness, and I was living for it. Did anyone else notice the little Kim pasty she had on her boob? No? It was fabulous. After Ru and Michelle, I think Alan Carr kind of dropped the ball a little bit. Not that he didn't look gorgeous in that red satin tuxedo jacket and peacock feather pin combo, but what was stopping him from some little Kim pasty action, I ask you? Joining the judges fresh from her win on Snatch Game was gorgeous Alexandra Burke. Category is Heart-Ons. Is that right? Tamara was first, and if all she wore was this sexy nurse number, I would have been okay with that. But we all know Tamara by now. That sexy nurse got a whole lot sexier. I'd even say she dressed for intensive care. What can we say? She's a giver, and that gets a Fingerdoo. I didn't hate Vicky's Queen of Hearts, but I didn't love it either. Her figure was gorgeous, but I found the outfit a little Party City-ish for me. That said, I just loved the opera cape that she had on, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Catherine Butch's vintage sailing top was lovely back in 1920. Thank goodness it was a cover-up. Too bad, covered up this. Oof. But with her tattoo sleeves, the whole look was very Jean-Paul Gaultier, which I appreciated. But what did it have to do with hearts? But being the operative word, because Kate Butch had put very cheeky heart-shaped cutouts on the back side of her red shorts for some reason. I was getting a very, how do I make this already existing outfit work for this runway vibe? So I gave her a finger don't. And then Michael Maruli rounded the corner in this. I don't know what the armless trend seems to be on Drag Race UK, but I am loving it. I was getting all kinds of Versace haute couture realness, and then, like a dirty puppet show, out popped her hands in red gloves. How can I not give her a Fingerdoo? Seriously. Dee Dee was next, and well, she looked lovely in her heart-covered corset and boot combo, but it felt a little under-designed, like she'd stuck some dollar store hearts on an old waist cincher. So I gave her a Fingerdoo, and here's why. Ginger Johnson, although she was actually wearing a plush heart, this one complemented her figure and looked stunning. Plus, the boots and gloves, come on, Fingerdoo, people, seriously. Last, but far from least, was Caramel's ode to the horror movie. She looked stunning. I thought the combination of paint splatters and rhinestones were gorgeous. I also loved that she had a white outfit. It really made all that red pop. But why was her face the only thing painted white? To be honest, I think this look would have been stronger without it. Still, she got a Fingerdoo because, well. And then it was time for the judges' critiques. Michael Maruli and Caramel were safe. Again. So they frigged off to the workroom. As for the rest of the queens, it was clear that the top three were Ginger, Kate, and Tamara, which of course left both Vicky and Dee Dee in the bottom. But what really put Dee Dee in Ru's bad books was the fact that she was rocking a figure like that without a corset. Who else really wishes there's a trapdoor on Drag Race? Seriously. But there wasn't, so all Ru could do was announce that this week's winner was, surprise, no surprise, Ginger Johnson. Not only her third repeater badge, but this is her third in a row. Well done, Ginger, seriously. As expected, it was Dee Dee and Vicky who had to lip sync for their lives, and their song of choice was Heartbreak on Hold by Alexandra Burke. Right out of the gate, Dee Dee had my attention. For a young queen, she is such a solid performer. I thought she was doing all right, and then she ditched that ridiculous corset, and suddenly it was Anne Margaret in Vegas. It's not that I think Vicky did a worse job than Dee Dee, it's just that she started out so seriously and sedately, and by the time she got to this face, well, it was a case of too little too late. Plus, then, Dee Dee did her spinning jump splits, and we all know what a whore we fans are of the spinning jump splits. And, as if that weren't enough, Dee Dee's slow-motion death drop at the end of the number was genius, which is why it was no surprise to me that it was Dee Dee-licious who not only shantaed, but now she is officially a lip-sync assassin. Here's to Miss Licious. Seriously, I'm scared of her. Sadly, this meant that it was the uncorseted. I knew that would come back and bite her in the ass. Vicky Vivacious, who sashayed away. But seriously, at this point, the judges are down to splitting hairs between these queens. They're all so good. I mean, I didn't think Dee Dee-licious would have survived this long. Just me? But being the youngest queen, is she now the weakest? Next week is an acting challenge, which have landed her in the bottom before. I guess we'll just have to tune into RuPaul's Drag Race UK to find out. Speaking of, on my next review, I'll be covering both last week's episode 7 and this week's episode 8, so you and I can compare notes. You know the drill. Like it, subscribe to it, support it, and until next week, stay healthy, stay happy, and miss me. Mwah. Seriously. Oh my God. I can't believe I did 3 episodes in a row. Oh my God. 2 more to go, and and then Canada's Drag Race starts tomorrow. Oy vey. That Canada's Drag Race better not bite the banooch. I'll tell you what, I am right on the final straw with Canada's Drag Race. Oh gosh. Ugh. You know what it is? It's because I don't know any of the queens. They're bringing in these queens not only from other provinces, but queens that have started drag since, like, in the last few years. I haven't seen them before. So, I don't know. I have a list of names. Carlotta Carlisle, Misconception. There's a list of drag queens that I would love to see on Canada's Drag Race, but I've heard they want more up-and-coming queens, not established queens. Well, it's good to dream. At some point, they're going to have to take somebody because they're running out of queens, if you ask me. Oh.